So you're openly admitting you poisoned your roommate? And you're not in prison? Like, what happened to them? Are they okay? Are they alive? What kind of an evil person does that? Happy apple picking day! If you want to transfer your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And just a quick reminder before we get started, we all come from different branches of the apple tree, so when you guys discuss your opinions down in the comments, just remember that everyone has different experiences that fuels those opinions. And you should never make someone feel bad for not knowing something. And also, no one wants to listen to you if you're just gonna be mean about it. And also, even if you have a good point, no one's gonna wanna listen to you if you're being a jerk about it. Don't be the bad apple. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for yelling at my daughter's teacher? I, 40 female, have a daughter that's 12 and in 6th grade. Yesterday, she got her period in English class for the first time. She asked her teacher if she could use the restroom and the teacher refused to let her go. When my daughter asked why she couldn't go, her teacher just said she should hold it. My daughter told her that she really needed to go, but her teacher still refused and said that she could wait until after class ended. My daughter never said anything else and just obeyed the teacher. After English class, it was her lunch period. She emailed me in the bathroom sobbing because she didn't have any supplies. I immediately drove to the school and helped her through it. When she told me what happened in English class, I was furious. I barged into her teacher's classroom and confronted her about it. She told me to get over it, that she didn't know what was going on, and how could she possibly have known if my daughter didn't tell her? I yelled at her for being a bad teacher. I kind of regret saying that to her now, and I don't know if I overreacted or not. I've always just been an overprotective mother, but first of all, how is my child supposed to just say, I'm on my period in front of everybody? 2, how is there no nurse on campus at school and no products available for the kids? That's insane to me. I know that I should have prepared her and had products ready to go, but I didn't know that the school didn't provide any. And lastly, I just want everyone to know that when I confronted the teacher, there wasn't anyone else present in her class. Like, I never would have confronted the teacher if there were students present, but I still did tell her she was a bad teacher. I really need to know, was I the bad apple? I really want to talk about this because I have a lot of thoughts and I have a lot of opinions, and I already know people are racing to the comments and typing away, but here's the thing. As a teacher, there's so much about the bathroom that like non-teachers just don't understand. For starters, we literally had school policies at my old school that there were certain time frames right at the beginning of class and right at the end of class that we were not allowed to send kids to the bathroom. And it didn't matter, emergency or whatever, like we were told and we were scolded and reprimanded if we made any kinds of exceptions. And that was what the policy was. That's what they made us as teachers follow. And I'm not saying that that's what was happening to this teacher. I'm saying that I, as a former teacher, know those policies existed. Different schools have different policies, and sometimes they change the policies every year to try and figure out like what works best. There was a semester where our policy was we could only give kids 3 bathroom passes for the semester, and we were not allowed to give them anymore. And we were told like, hold your ground, blah, 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 blah. They have times during the day that they're allotted to go to the bathroom and you can't make an exception. And like, what is a teacher supposed to do? And it's really frustrating seeing parents and kids blame teachers for treating school like a prison and blah, 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 blah. But then if we like stand our ground and let kids go to the bathroom against policy, then we get reprimanded, and then we get yelled at, and then we get written up, and blah, blah, blah. And that can impact if we want to transfer schools. Will they like have to look at those write-ups? Like, it's a mess, and it's like a no-win situation. And again, I'm not saying that that's what was happening to this teacher, but as someone with the experience of a former teacher, knowing those rules are in place in a lot of places, I've never worked at a school where they didn't have some kind of bathroom rule like that. Knowing those rules are a thing, it just frustrates me that it's like always the teachers, whether it's bathrooms or zeros for classwork or like anything along attendance, like those kinds of things, it's always the teachers who get the crap for it, for a school's policy or a principal's policy, and the teachers are the ones that get the crap, and whether they do or they don't, like they just never win, and it stinks, okay? It really stinks. Also, I want to tackle the idea of the mom talking about how there was no products at school. I don't know if this is the case everywhere, and this is, I always get really uncomfortable explaining this, and I don't know why, I just do. But so like, there are some, at least in my old county, there were some very odd rules. Like I, as a teacher, it was against policy for me to give kids tampons. It was. And the reasoning makes me very uncomfortable to talk about on camera. They compare tampons to needles in that it gets like inserted. And so that's why like they're prohibited. Teachers are not allowed, not supposed to. Like that's in the rules. Now that being said, like all of those policies being said, the bathroom stuff, the product stuff, even though those are policies, let me tell you how many times I broke those policies. I did. If a kid told me there was an emergency, I would just get yelled at or written up. It was actually really sweet. Like, let me talk about this for a second. So I had this little cute little blue pencil pouch, like plastic pencil pouch, that I kept all the feminine hygiene products, all the pads, all the tampons, whatever kids want. And I wasn't supposed to be able to give tampons out, but I 100% did anyways. And I had it like all set up in my classroom, and all the girls knew where it was. And there were a couple male coworkers that I had, the sweetest beans, who I'll never forget the day that they nervously approached me and was like, I hear you have one of those things in your class. And I said, yeah. And they said, will you make me one? And I was like, oh my God, yeah, absolutely. And they were like, how do I safely and appropriately let my kids know that I have them if they need them without being weird? And it was just the sweetest, like the care and thought that that was my teacher bestie. Love this man. Still love him. Like we still hang out. But I love when especially male teachers like put that kind of thought and effort and energy. I love it. But I'm gonna stop talking about this now because I'm rambling. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to the teacher, it's very difficult for me to go from, to decide between crab apple. I know a lot of people are gonna give the teacher bad apple. I have a really hard time labeling the teacher with an apple because I don't feel like I have enough information. Like I know there are policies out there that limit teachers from doing XYZ with bathroom passes and kids, and even in emergencies and things like that. But I don't know what her policy is. I don't know if it's anything similar to like what I had. I don't know. And at the end of the day, like even though I had policies in place, if I knew that a kid was having an emergency, whether it was a feminine emergency or whether it was just a kid about to pee their pants, like, you know, to me it didn't matter. I bit the bullet. And I know that not everyone feels like they can stand up to the system like that, but it's frustrating to me when they don't, you know? Like at the end of the day, these are kids' well-beings. So for the teacher, I really am struggling about what I would pick for the teacher. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments of, given my point of view, what you think and what you still think is fair. I'm really struggling with that one. When it comes to the mom though, I definitely understand the desire to be protective and want to jump to your daughter's defense. Like, I get that, but I also don't like how the mom handled it. Like, well, I didn't know there was a nurse on campus. Like, how was I supposed to know? Well, you never like looked into if there was an emergency who would be on campus for your child. Well, I didn't know that the school didn't provide those kinds of products. Girl, the school doesn't even have enough textbooks for all the kids there. Like, I don't understand that thought process of, I know teachers don't get paid enough. I know schools don't have enough money. I know my friend to this day, she's not a teacher anymore, but that classroom still has a globe that says the USSR in Czechoslovakia. Like, we can't even get updated globes and enough textbooks for the kids. But yeah, I don't need to send my kid with any supplies, man, cause like they got her. In what world do schools have enough money to keep a nurse on staff? Have the kind of money to stock those kinds of products for those kinds of feminine products? It doesn't make sense to me. Where are you getting these ideas? And then to just like walk into a room and just start yelling at another human being. Again, I totally understand if the teacher just decided,
Oh, I want to be mean and not let this girl go to the bathroom.
but like knowing the policies that may or may not be in place, I can just imagine how I would feel if a parent just came in screaming at me for something that like the school tied my hands about. And again, we don't know if that's the case or not. I feel like I don't like that that's the go-to, you know? We're just gonna walk in and scream at someone and tell them that they're bad at their job and make them feel like a terrible person. Like, I would much rather have seen the mom, you know, ask questions first. Like I always say, like before you get angry and mad and resort to the yelling and the name calling and the blah, 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 like, why don't we ask some clarifying questions? Hey, tell me what happened from your perspective. Why was she not allowed to the bathroom? If the teacher said, oh, I just, you know, she said she really had to go and it was an emergency, but I didn't want to repeat directions again, so I told her she couldn't go. Like, yeah, maybe then, like, getting a little bit more assertive and, like, being like, hey, that was a really crappy thing to do. Maybe then that would be more warranted. But, like, you don't know if in the other building, there were times in our high schools where they had drug dogs come onto campus and we couldn't let the kids leave for any reason. Like, there's so many things that could have happened. I want to assume that the teacher isn't just being a jerk, and I would have liked to have seen mom ask questions first before just resorting to name calling and being mean, like, because you just never know. I'm debating between, like, I would normally say, like, oh, this is a bad batch. Again, I am really struggling with what I would say about the teacher. So I guess I'm really struggling between bad apple and bad batch, because again, I'm really struggling with my thoughts on the teacher, and I'm relying on, like, you guys to help me sort out my thoughts on that based on the insight that I gave you guys. Again, I don't feel like I have enough information on, like, the teacher side to really grade the teacher. But at least for the mom, I definitely want to support advocating for your child, but I want to support advocating for your child in a healthy way, you know? Teaching them that the moment anything possibly goes wrong, that you immediately resort to yelling and screaming and name calling and ruining someone else's day. Like, I always want to encourage to ask questions first. And like, once you have all the answers, yeah, you can get mad if someone's just targeting your child and being a jerk and causing them bodily harm. Like 100% be the mama bear. But you don't know if that's the case yet. And so that is why I'm going bad apple. And the reason I'm going bad apple instead of crab apple is because, like, all of the unpreparedness insinuations of
why does the school not have a nurse? Why does the school not have the products?
Not being informed on, like, the kinds of health protocols in place for your child and getting mad at everybody else for it when you're also not informed about what policies may be in place for other things. Like, to me, I'm just getting a bad vibe from it. Like, there's just you know what I mean? Like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know, I would love your thoughts. It's very possible that this is just a jerk of a teacher. But it's also possible that their hands were tied for, like, I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm gonna go bad apple and give you guys the opportunity to sway me to crab apple, possibly. I think you might be able to. Yeah. We'll see. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for getting my granddaughter a DNA test? This is about my granddaughter, Lindsay. Now, Lindsay, 15, has it rough being a middle child, and she looks completely different than all her siblings. I truly was always confused on how she had blonde, curly hair while the rest of the family has dark hair. I thought genetics were just being weird, and I love her regardless. The issue came up when Lindsay told me her parents banned her from getting an ancestry test. I told my son and daughter-in-law there's something fishy around her birth and she deserves to know. They denied it and just told me to leave it alone, but now Lindsay's in high school and she went to her biology teacher. To put it bluntly, the teacher said it was very odd for her to have some of these physical traits considering who her parents are. She came to me distressed and asked me to buy her a DNA test because she wants these answers. Long story short, so I did, and long story short, she's not her mother's kid. I guess my son got someone else pregnant and her bio mom just gave her up. This has blown up the family. While Lindsay is pissed for being lied to, I'm getting a ton of heat for getting her the DNA test. Now they won't talk to me, which is making Lindsay even more mad at them. Because why are they punishing me for them lying to her? I don't know. Should I have just minded my business? Was I the bad apple? I say hard no. Hard no. And we've talked before about grandparents respecting parents' boundaries. I get that. I'm in full support of that. I don't think this is the same thing, okay? This is a situation where, one way or another, this teenager, she's 15, in 3 years, she'll be a legal adult. She can go do whatever the heck she wants, right? In 3 years, she's going, one way or another, she's going to get those results. I fully support grandma understanding that and choosing to be on her granddaughter's side and support her and show, I will support you and love you no matter what these results say, and like, I'm here for you. Because at the end of the day, she's going to be mad at her mom and dad. Which, by the way, hold on, she's a middle child and not her mom's mom, meaning her dad had an affair. I don't know who I would be more mad at. The dad for cheating on mom, or mom for just sweeping it under the rug and like going back to him like nothing happened. Like, what kind of an example is that? Nope, can't be me. Absolutely not. But anyways, I digress. When she found out she was gonna be mad at her parents regardless, grandma knew, look, I could either be on the keeping secrets and keeping things from her side, or I can be on the supporting her and helping her find answers side. And I support her advocating for her granddaughter like that. I think, you know, she's not 5 saying, I want a toy, and grandma's undermining the parents. She's 15 wanting to figure out who she is. She probably feels like something's wrong with her. She probably feels like she doesn't belong because she has different genetics than the rest of her family. That poor girl. And you know what? For the fact that grandma thought something was fishy and he was like, you know what? I love this girl anyways, and I'm gonna support her and I'm gonna advocate for her. Like, I like this grandma, okay? And again, like, we know I don't have kids. I don't have experience with grandparents overstepping or anything like that. So if there's a parent with a different perspective that I maybe haven't thought of, definitely let me know in the comments, because I'm not opposed to hearing your perspective or your ideas or opinions, but I really am pro grandma right now. Like, I think this is great. I love this for her granddaughter, that in a world where she feels betrayed, she feels like she has a family member ally who loves her no matter what and is supporting her, and I like that. So I'm going good apple. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not allowing my mother-in-law to watch my daughter perform? My eldest daughter, female 23, just got the lead in a major musical on tour. For her debut, she said she would pay for me, my husband, my mom and dad, and her siblings to all come watch her. Me and my husband asked about her dad's parents, but she said she didn't feel comfortable with them attending. My husband and I understood, and we agreed with that. My husband's family have never really supported our daughter in that way. They stopped talking to her after she came out as bisexual, and when she told them she got into Carnegie Mellon University on a full scholarship for the drama program, they told her she was probably gonna dope out and fail. Skipped her right after the debut. She did amazing and truthfully is one of the best singers and actresses I've ever seen. My husband posted a few photos, and 5 minutes later, I was getting some angry voicemails. I called his mother back, and her being mad would be an understatement. She said, and this is a direct quote,
How could you? Just because I haven't supported her all the way through, it doesn't mean I don't care for her.
I told her she didn't want you there, and now that I think about it, neither did I. All my family's on my side, including my husband, but from the way she acted, I'm kind of second guessing everything. Was I the bad apple? Hard no. It's so weird to me when people are like, I don't agree with your life choices, so I'm going to cut contact. Okay, you do you and whatever is best for your mental health and your peace. Like, I will never say that it's my business, like the kind of, pause for a tea break. Make sure to stay hydrated, everybody. It is important. Drink your water. One of you guys sent me this really sweet little mug, and I love it. If you decide to cut contact, whether it's because your family is partaking in things that you don't agree with, or you decide that your family is toxic and you don't want to be a part of, you cut contact, okay? You can't do the whole,
well, you don't miss me enough. Well, you don't try to get me to come back.
if you're cutting contact, it's because you've decided that's what's best for you and your peace and your mental health, and that's, you do what you gotta do. It's not my business, okay? Do I agree with this lady's reason for cutting contact? No, I don't. But just like I say when people talk about their toxic in-laws or whatever, or toxic mom or whatever, it's not my business why you decide to cut contact with somebody. Like, it's your own personal preference of who you decide you want to have in your space, whether I agree with your reasoning or not. It's not my business. My opinion shouldn't matter. But it's weird to me that this grandma decided to cut contact and then is like, well, why doesn't she want me around? Well, because you decided she wasn't worth having in your life. Why would she want you around? Like, you're someone who doesn't support her, doesn't believe in her, you don't think she'll succeed. Like, why would she want that kind of vibe at the beginning of her successful career? Like, that's, no. When you really make it, like you really make it, you want the people who supported you to be around you so that you can show, like, you believed in me and look what I did. Like, look at how cool this is. There have been a few events that I've gone to that I was just so thankful that Avery was there, because Avery has always believed in me when, oh, I'm gonna start getting emotional. When it comes to like this stuff, Avery has always been my #1 supporter, like always. Always. He believes in me a little too much. Like, he thinks I'm way cooler than I am. But really, like, he's always the person that I want, you know? I have family members who, when I started this career, thought it was like the dumbest thing ever, man. And I 100% understand the notion of, like, when I do really cool things, like, they're not on my short list of who I want to tell, because, like, they're not excited for me. Like, you know, they might be happy for me, like they want what's best for me, but like they didn't think that I could do it, you know? And I don't want to come off as like braggy to them of like, look what I'm doing, like, you know, so like I 100% understand everything about this woman not wanting her grandparents, who don't support who she is and who she loves and her sexuality, don't support her dreams, and like don't even think she's smart enough to get her degree at a place that she got a full ride. Like at Carnegie Mellon. That's a big deal, okay? I'm so speechless for the fact that they're like, oh, I know they awarded you a full ride, but you're probably just gonna fail out. They don't just offer full rides to anybody. Like, this is gonna make me mad. There's a lot of emotions in the explanation of this story. It's fine. But I'm going good apple. I'm so, like, also it's really weird to me that this is the mother-in-law, but when the grandmother's son posted photos, she called to yell at her daughter-in-law. That tells me all I need to know, you know? That tells me, I mean, like, so much of it tells me all I need to know, you know? Like, won't talk to her because she's bi, told her she'll fail out of school, is calling to yell at the daughter-in-law when her son posts photos. Like, I don't need to know anything else about this woman. So I'm going good apple. Yay for mom for standing up for her daughter. Yay for dad for understanding the harm that his mom caused on his daughter and being like, you know what, you're right. She doesn't need to be involved at all. We love this. We love this. The good apples. Everyone except for mother-in-law. Like, we love this family very much. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for poisoning my roommate? 19 male, recently moved into a shared place, and there's someone who keeps stealing my food. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but even my leftovers are being eaten. It was very clear that the person was doing it on purpose. I spoke to my housemates and about how I would just prefer to be asked first, but they were all nonchalant about it, and none of them admitted to doing it, and I haven't caught anyone in the act, so I just try to ignore it, as it only happens every couple of days or so. A few days ago, I came home from work with a carton of eggs that I found while dumpster diving, and some bread. I wanted to give the eggs the water test before eating them, just to make sure they were safe to consume, but I was too tired to do it that night and went to bed early without eating. The next day, I found out that one of my housemates got so sick, he ended up having to go to the emergency room. My eggs were not in the fridge where I left them, but I saw the carton and shells in the trash, and the bread was also opened. I had a hunch it was him because there was a possibility the eggs had gone bad. But I was also so annoyed at the fact that he helped himself to my food without asking. When he came back, I asked him if he'd eaten my eggs and bread, and he denied it. I said, okay, but I hope whoever ate them doesn't get as sick as you did, because I did find those eggs in the dumpster. His face immediately dropped and he looked visibly uncomfortable. He then got angry at me and said he may have consumed the food by mistake as he wasn't paying attention and doesn't actually remember, and accused me of poisoning him on purpose. He said it's a health hazard to bring such food in communal spaces without warning everyone first, as it's not uncommon for people in shared places to eat each other's food by mistake. He hasn't spoken to me since, and my housemates are siding with him and called me disgusting for doing that. Part of me feels like I wasn't wrong because they were my eggs that I was fully intending on eating, but I didn't think I had to warn people against eating food that didn't belong to them. But I also do feel really bad and guilty that he got so sick, so can someone tell me if I was the bad apple? Okay, I do want to get ahead of something really quickly before I go into this story. I can already hear keyboards of people like questioning the validity of,
he probably did it on purpose. No way he just accidentally got bad eggs from a dumpster. People don't do that, blah, 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 blah.
And if you have that mentality, then I just want to offer up a little insight, not insight, but I thought, I at least have always been very privileged in the fact that I've never had to wonder where my next meal was coming from. I've always had food in the pantry, I've always had food at my mom's house, and I'm very lucky for that. There are some people who don't have that luxury, okay? And I don't feel like it's my place to ever accuse someone of like the lengths they would go to make sure they had a meal. Like that just, I don't feel like that's my business, that's not my job. I feel very lucky that I don't know what it feels like to be that hungry. But I would just like to remind everyone that when people are that hungry, you know, again, if you don't understand the lengths someone will go to make sure they have a meal, that's great for you. I just don't feel like those of us who don't understand that kind of hunger, it's not our business whether or not someone would go do that or not. You know, like, so I just wanted to kind of, I could already hear it coming, I could already hear it happening, just wanted to get that out of the way before we move on. A few things, if you are listening. First of all, I hear that float test is not always accurate, so if you are checking eggs, just be careful because, again, float test is not always accurate is what I've learned from Reddit today. I have to tell Avery he loves eggs. Like, if he's ever hungry and it's like in the middle of meals or whatever, eggs, avocados, and toast, that's like his go-to. Another thing that I think is really important to mention is that even though it's not first of all, it's not, like, your roommate should not be eating your food. That's ridiculous. I've lived with roommates before. Most of us have probably at some point had a roommate, whether in college, whether in an apartment after, or if you didn't go to college or anything like that, like young adulthood. More often than not, we all have at some point had a or multiple roommates. And it is very easy to tell what you bought and what someone else bought. Like, oh, did I or did I not make the spaghetti? I didn't make the spaghetti, I guess it's not mine. Like, that's very easy. Did you make it? No. Okay, it's not yours. Did you buy grapes? No. Well, there's only one thing of grapes in there. If you didn't buy grapes, it's not your grapes. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. So like that's bullcrap. Oh, it's so common for people to accidentally eat other people's food. Not really, especially if you're like labeling it, this is mine. It's really not that hard to not eat other people's food, okay? It just isn't. That being said, the one issue that I have with OP is that if you are going to go dumpster diving for food and put it in a communal fridge, I feel like something either needs to be said or it needs to be put in some kind of container. I know that I would not like my food to be sitting up next to and or maybe even touching something that came from the dumpster. I would be very upset about that if that was happening and no one told me. So if that's going to be a way that you get your food, I think that either it needs to go in some kind of container. I think that the people need to know and understand that's in the fridge. I think that there needs to be like an extra cleaning of the fridge every now and then. And I think that it needs to go in a special location in the fridge so that it's not touching other foods. Like something needs to be done and something needs to be said. I think that there's a bunch of possibilities. It's very possible that they're all angry and mad and on your roommate's side because they're all eating your food. Like that's 100% a possibility. It's also a possibility that they're angry because they didn't know what was going into the communal fridge and they might have been worried about what might have been touching their fruit and their vegetable. Like I would also have those concerns. I think that's a valid concern to have. And again, like they can't dictate how or where you get your food that you eat, but I think that they definitely do have some kind of say in how to make sure that there's no kind of cross-contamination or anything like that. You know, I think that's fair. I think that's valid. And again, if someone thinks that I'm wrong or that I'm out of line, like let me know in the comments. But I do genuinely think I would be upset about the same thing. Now, when it comes to poisoning your roommate, you didn't poison your roommate, okay? You had some food that went bad and he ate it. Period. I've always seen those things in the office where it's like, yeah, someone keeps eating my food or drinking my drinks or blah, 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 blah. So like I put laxative in the creamer for the coffee, or like I put like, I've seen those everywhere. And would I do it? No. Do I think it makes them a bad person? I don't think so. Like, why would you blame the person setting like, it's basically like you're setting a trap for a robber, right? I don't know, I'm conflicted because I don't think it's okay to like physically cause someone bodily harm, but like if you put like hot sauce and like not super hot to where it would harm them, but like it just tastes bad in the creamer that they keep stealing in the office, you know? Oh, you don't like it? Stop stealing. You're stealing. I'll never understand the blaming the person for putting like hot sauce in the creamer or vinegar in the creamer or something, like when, oh, well, they ate it and it was gross and they didn't like it. Well, then don't steal. It's not yours. So if this kid genuinely didn't know they were rotten, didn't specifically put them in the fridge to harm somebody, and the guy just happened to eat food that went bad that wasn't his, like, I don't think that makes him a bad apple at all. Again, I'm teetering between good and crap only because he never let the other roommates know, hey, I'm bringing in food from the dumpster into our communal space and our communal fridge. And I know, like, it's not white or black, you know, because I'm sure this guy is probably embarrassed. It's not fun to be struggling with money like that and to be wondering where your meal is coming from. Milo, do not attack your sister. These cats, man. You know, it's not gonna be fun to be struggling with money to the point that you have to go dumpster diving for your food. Like, I can see him being very embarrassed about it, very insecure about it. It's probably not something that he wants to, like, hey guys, just letting you know. I can see why that would be hard, but at the same time, like, it's a shared space and I think they have a right to know, you know? Like, it's a sanitation thing and a health thing. Like, what if one of the eggs got cracked and leaked all over the fridge? A rotten egg leaked all over the fridge. Like, they should know. So I think I will go good apple because he didn't, like, maliciously not tell them. He didn't, you know, try anything sneaky. And he did end up telling them the truth and letting them know. I am still gonna go good apple. Again, I don't agree with not being open about it from the beginning, but I'm still gonna go good apple. He didn't try to hurt anyone. He wasn't trying to be sneaky. He wasn't trying to get anyone sick. He's just trying to get on his feet, and that's okay. That's valid. Like, I really hope it works out for you, but he didn't poison his roommate, and maybe they will finally stop stealing his food. So I got 3 good apples and 1 bad apple. Did we get the same score last week? I can't remember now. Is this gonna turn into a new curse? I don't know. At least that's what I got. I would love to know if you guys got something similar or completely different. Let me know down in the comments. As you know, I really do read as much as I can. I can't always respond to everything, but I read a lot. And as always, if you want to transfer your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And for your well wishes today, it's holiday season, it's getting chilly, or it's been chilly. I'm I'm waiting for it to get like really cold here. It's been chilly, but it hasn't been cold. But for your well wishes, I hope that there's a nice cold day that you get to just wrap up in some blankets in your pajamas and drink hot cocoa and watch all the holiday movies. Hallmark Channel, those are some good ones. And just have a nice lazy day enjoying the season and some quiet time, and that sounds good. I want to do that this weekend. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie? Let me know in the comments. I love Elf. I really do. It's a nostalgia thing because my friend Anna and I would watch it every single year when we were kids, but what's yours? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.